So this is going to be a fairly unique video for my YouTube channel. In fact, I don't think I've ever made a video quite like this. And it's talking about how I overcame back pain to get back on the bike. So if you subscribe to my channel, you probably have seen some of my videos recently where I talked about some back pain that I was having, and it was pretty bad. It kept me off the mountain bike and it was not comfortable on the gravel bike. I was fortunately able to ride on the gravel bike. I even did like 60 to 70 mile rides, but they were not comfortable. And in my everyday life, my back was just miserable. I originally injured my back probably 15, 20 years ago. And I did it because I was working on a bike, bent over. I was building up a bike. And the last hour, I was having trouble getting the inner wire. This is back in the day when we didn't run full housing through the frames. We ran the inner wire, and it was getting blocked by something inside the frame. And so not only was I bent over like building up the bike all day, but I was also bent over trying to get this thing through for like an hour. And that night, man, my back was so bad, and it lasted for about a year. And it was a miserable year. And even since then, I've just had back pain. Like, it hasn't been near that bad, but it hasn't completely gone away until recently. So I'm going to talk about the things that I've done to get rid of the back pain. Now, I will make my YouTube disclaimer that I am not a doctor. I am not a physical therapist or a chiropractor. I'm just a dude who has suffered from back pain, and I have found something to help alleviate that back pain. And it's been a game changer for me. Several months ago, a subscriber recommended to me a book that I read, and it, like I said, it was a game changer. So I'm going to show you the book, but I'm going to show you the 3 standouts for me that helped me recover from back pain. So the book is called The Back Mechanic. I bought this from Amazon. In fact, I'll put an Amazon affiliate link below if you want to pick this up. Look in the description, and it's by Dr. Stuart McGill. He's kind of like the guru on back pain. In fact, he tries to keep people out of surgery as much as possible. So let me just go through the 3 standouts for me from this book that helped me. And the thing that started helping me immediately is what he calls spine hygiene. And by the way, this is not a thick book. This is not an encyclopedia. I am not the fastest reader in the world, and I got through this in a week. Now, I was devouring it because I was reading stuff being like, yes, like, why has no one ever told me that? That makes a lot of sense. And I did tons of underlining that I go back and read. But spine hygiene is what he talks about, and that is basically how your spine is supposed to work and supposed to bend or not bend as you go throughout your day. So basically, your spine is really not supposed to bend. You're supposed to keep the natural curve, which, you know, if someone's facing that way, it's that slight curve in the back, and then it comes in a little bit, a slight curve at the top, and then comes in at the bottom. You're supposed to keep that curve as much as you can all throughout your day in everything that you do. When you bend over to pick something up, you're not supposed to bend your spine. You're supposed to bend at the hips, you know, and if you do proper form, it's like someone who's doing a squat in a gym. So they're sticking their butt way out so that they can keep their back straight, so that they bend at the hips, they bend at the knees. Even little things like tying your shoes or picking up your little lap dog. Like, my dog's a little 10-pound dog, and I will make sure I do perfect form every time. Now, when I injured my back, I went to an ortho, and he was basically like, you know, we could try this, we could do this. And I was like, man, I don't want to be your experiment. I want my back to be better. My SI joints were killing me. My lower back was killing me. He said it could be my facet joints, whatever that is. And so I was like, man, I don't want to be an experiment. So I had an SI belt that I was wearing. I think Dr. Stuart McGill talks about an SI belt in here, but don't quote me on that. But I was wearing an SI belt, and it did help, by the way. But I haven't worn the SI belt in a couple months. And so Spine hygiene means that whether you're sitting down, you're standing up, you're walking, you're lifting things, you're keeping your spine straight. So basically what he says, and this makes total sense, your spine, your core is supposed to lock in place while your extremities do all the heavy lifting. And so when you bend over, like when you're picking something up, you use your legs and your arms and you're keeping your core locked at all times. In fact, he says you're not supposed to twist. So you're not supposed to bend your shoulders and your upper body away from your hips. Your hips are supposed to rotate with your back. So especially like if you're lifting up something and putting it over here, you're supposed to twist your whole body at the same time, not just keep your hips in place and just move your upper body. Your spine's not supposed to twist and it's not supposed to bend. So he has a lot of stuff in the book about proper spine hygiene. Within the first day or two, I started to notice relief. So the second standout to me is walking. He is huge on walking. He recommends, especially when you're going through rehab, to walk 30 minutes at a time, 3 times a day. So that's an hour and a half a day of walking. And it's not just very casual strolling. It's walking briskly enough so that you're kind of, moving your arms. It's not a speed walk, but you're moving your arms so that, you're walking at a pretty good clip. In fact, he says that slow walking is worse for your back. So you need to be, have the proper gait, proper posture. And he explains all that in the book. But walking is very therapeutic for your back. The third thing are some exercises, and they're very simple. There's 3 main exercises. I think he calls them the big 3. And so there's 3 exercises that he recommends doing that I now do every morning. Like I said, they're very simple. I'll explain them real quick. I'm not going to go into detail on how to do them. He does it in the book. And there's actually a video by someone that I will link in the description below that shows how to do his big 3 exercises. He doesn't take credit for them. He says they're Dr. McGill, Stuart McGill's, but he shows how to do them. So the first one is, again, it's very simple. You basically put your hands in your lower back, you lift your elbows a little bit, you lift your head very slightly off the floor, and you hold for 10 seconds. Every exercise in here that he recommends is a 10-second hold. And your first set, you do 6 reps. Your second set, you do 4. Your third set, you do 2. And that's it for the 3 big exercises. So it's that lift, that little head lift. The second one is kind of a plank. And so it's a side plank. And then if you want to kind of make it a little bit more advanced, you can roll over to the other side and you do a main plank for 3 seconds as you get to the other side. So again, 10-second hold on each side. You repeat 6 times, that's a set. You rest, you do another set of 4, another set of 2, and then you do bird dogs. So and he explains kind of exactly how he wants you to do the bird dogs, but it's a 10-second hold. You touch your hand to your knee between each rep, 6 times, switch sides. So they're simple exercises, but if you do them consistently, at least for me, they worked. So those are the main 3 things that I have been doing. And I'll tell you about my routine that I do coming up here in a minute. Because his routine really just takes 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes max. I do a couple more things that I'll talk about. The other thing that I do that he doesn't mention in the book, but I do Roman chairs. Now you got to be careful with Roman chairs. So if you don't know what a Roman chair, I'll put an affiliate link to the Amazon purchase that I made to get a Roman chair because I just got one a few months ago. Roman chair is basically, it's almost like a inverted sit-up where you kind of bend your head down to the floor and then you raise it back up. Now you got to be careful because you don't want to bend your spine. And so what you do is you put the pad of the Roman chair below your hips so that you don't have to bend your spine to go down. You also, now I had to do some research online. In fact, I think I did a chat GPT search of Dr. Stuart McGill. And what does he say about Roman chairs? And I happened to find, I think it was him, said that you don't want to go all the way down to the floor. So this is your head. Your head's going down the floor. You don't want to have your head go all the way down to the floor. You want to do like a 45-degree bend and come back up. And when you come back up, you don't want to arch your spine. You want to keep it so that your spine is not arching. So everything is about keeping the spine in that perfect alignment all the time, not arching back, not bending forward, not twisting. So when you do Roman chairs, you want to do it so your back can just stay straight. So again, he doesn't mention Roman chairs, but I do it every night before I go to bed. We keep the Roman chair in our guest room now, and I will do 30 Roman chairs before I go to bed. And I guess it's helping because I've had no back pain. So I do the 3 that I mentioned here, the spine hygiene, the walking, the 3 exercises, and then I do Roman chairs. I've had no back pain in the last 2 months, and I don't think I could have said that ever since I injured my back 15, 20 years ago. I've had back pain on and off at least a few times a week, and it flared up really bad. Now, when it was flaring up, it forced me to keep really good spine hygiene. I could not bend my back. I had to bend at the knees. I had to keep my back straight. I had to stick my butt way out when I pick stuff up. But it forced me to have that right posture. So now when I go through my day and I'm picking up my dog or I'm picking up a box or something like that, I think about that posture that I had to keep back when my back was hurting. And he says in the book, like, if you do things wrong, it will flare up and your back will tell you, it will teach you how to be straight. So listen, I'm not saying this is going to work for all of you. Back pain sucks. It's debilitating. In fact, we were on a ride today. We were talking about a friend of ours who hasn't ridden in 5 years because of back pain. I think that's what my buddy said about this guy. So it just sucks, and it can make your cycling miserable sometimes. I remember years ago when I was racing cyclocross, there was a few races where my back hurt the entire race. In fact, one, I sucked at the race because my back hurt so bad. 2 to 3 months now, I've had no back pain. And I feel like now I have the confidence, I have the tools to hopefully keep me from having serious back pain. And so I'm going to keep doing this stuff. Again, I can't say that it is going to help all of you out there, but it's definitely worth a shot. At least pick up the book. At least read it. Listen, the reason I'm making this video is I am passionate about helping people, especially helping people be healthy. That's why I love making my YouTube videos, because I can help people enjoy a sport that keeps them healthy. I love it. And so that's it. I mean, that's how I have gotten over back pain. In fact, he shares a story of a guy whose back pain was so bad. When he came into the doctor's office, he said to Dr. Stuart McGill, if you can't help me in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to take my life. That's how bad he was suffering. And this guy, I can't remember his outcome, but it was much better than it was. It may have been completely free of pain. He's not big on stretching. It's spine hygiene, walking, and the exercises, and some other stuff. But I haven't done a back stretch in 3 months since I started this. I used to lay over the exercise ball. I used to foam roll my back. I used to put the little massage ball in my back. This saves me so much time in the morning. So by the way, here's my routine. This is what I do. So every morning I do his 3 exercises that he recommends. And then kind of between sets, I'll do a few IT band strengthening exercises. So I do kind of lay on my side, lift my legs, do that 30 times, switch sides. And then I do a butterfly where I put a band around my knees, kind of lay on my side, lift my knees up, switch sides. And then I do a bridge. So I do kind of like a hip bridge where I put a belt around my knees and I push out on the belt as hard as I can for 30 seconds. And then when I'm all done with all that, as I go downstairs and start to get ready for work, I will stop by our little home gym and I'll do 12 pull-ups and I'll do 33 push-ups on my perfect push-ups. If you don't know what perfect push-ups are, I'll put an Amazon affiliate link in the description below of what those are, because those are really cool. They keep your wrists, kind of moving as you go through your exercise, and they make you go down lower than you would go without them. So it increases your more strength and flexibility. So I love the perfect push-ups. That's going to wrap up this video. I sincerely hope this will help some of you out there. I really do. I think it will. So if you're suffering from back pain, at least give this book a shot. I would even give this book a shot before you go to the doctor again. So, I mean, unless all right, I'm not going to get too much. I'm not going to prescribe anything, but if you're thinking about going to the doctor, at least pick up the book, read it. All right. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're into cycling, mountain biking, gravel, go ahead and subscribe. subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.